Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Space Station. We're ready for the event.
Yahoo Finance, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Adam Shapiro with Yahoo Finance. How do you hear me?
Loud and clear, Adam. Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
All right. Commander and Colonels, we are going to begin in 3, 2, 1. Commander Cassidy, can you just give us a brief overview of what you all are doing right now aboard the International Space Station?
Well, glad to have you on board, and right now it's a very special time for us because we've enjoyed about 6 weeks together, I think, and we're focusing the next week or so on getting Dragon and Bob and Doug ready to depart and head back to Earth and conclude their fantastic test flight of the Dragon capsule.
It's exciting for those of us who are old enough to remember the old Apollo missions to see private space, I'll call it exploration. But I'm curious, Colonel Behnken, what was it like? You've been on shuttle missions before. What was it like to be aboard the SpaceX Dragon capsule, or the Endeavour as it's been named, right?
Yes, we had the opportunity, Doug and I, to name the capsule Endeavour, which we really appreciated. The SpaceX team giving us that opportunity to kind of put a stamp on that vehicle to make it a little bit unique. For both of us, it was really remarkable to kind of come so many generations forward in terms of spacecraft development. The shuttle, as you probably know, was designed and really built on 70s and maybe even 60s era technology, whereas the Dragon capsule, both the parts that you can't see because they're behind panels and the parts that we do interface with, the touch screens and the handful of buttons that we have, are just decades advanced from what we had seen before on our previous flights. And so it was just remarkable to get a chance to fly on a vehicle that was so much more modern and so much cleaner, if you will, focused on the design of getting a vehicle to the International Space Station and back. The shuttle had a lot of capability, pickup truck sort of a capability for hauling things into space, but a lot of those features we didn't use on every mission. And the Dragon is really sleek and purpose-built for what it did to get us to the International Space Station. Really remarkable.
Colonel Hurley, you flew the last shuttle mission and you flew this first private capsule mission. What's different about previous experiences you've had in space, especially as you get ready to pilot this thing back to Earth in roughly about 10 days?
Well, you know, completely different era in a lot of ways. It's hard to believe it's been 9+ years now since that flight, STS-135, to where we are now. You know, that mission itself, there was a lot of final or last events that we had on the lead up to the launch. And then, of course, when we returned home, that was it for the space shuttle, an incredible 30-year career. And now this being the beginning of the new era where we have private partnerships providing vehicles for NASA to fly to and from the space station, and also contributing as we go forward out into the solar system to the moon and Mars. So it's kind of a neat way to see how things have developed in that 9-year span. And I know it sounds like in some ways 9 years was a long time, but to get where SpaceX has gotten with a crew on board space station 9 years later is pretty impressive. And just to be a small part of it, you know, it's a huge team at NASA and at SpaceX that made all this happen. And then the other big difference, I think, for both Bob and I, being veterans of shuttle flights, is just the opportunity to experience a long duration flight up here with Chris and be a contributing member of the ISS, and you know, whether it's maintenance, science, these guys did 4 incredibly successful spacewalks. and then now kind of packing up to head back home and conclude our test flight. It's been just an incredibly different experience, but rewarding just the same.
Commander Cassidy, for those of us who were little boys and cheered those Apollo missions and are still have the little boy excitement, how long until we're back on the moon, do you think?
Well, that's a great question. NASA's trying really, really hard to do it in the next couple of years. We got our work cut out for us, and the country's going through some difficult times, as the whole world is. So it'll be some I'm sure some priorities that have to be decided upon in our nation's leadership in terms of funding, but the technology for us is there. We have that in our grasp, that we can harness the smart minds of the commercial partners as well as the NASA team, and get on to the surface of the moon as soon as we can. I don't think that the three of us, our size 11s, are going to be walking on there, but somebody that we work with right now will be walking on the moon for sure.
Colonel Behnken, I know you just completed a spacewalk. I ask this with all sincerity, knowing that you all have fighter pilot training. How do you do that without losing your cookies?
You know, first they didn't give us very many cookies when we had breakfast that day. But seriously, I think for both Chris and I, you know, it's really about having a good training background to fall back on. All of our spacewalkers go through an extensive set of experiences back in Houston in the large, it's called the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory. It's basically a 40-foot deep swimming pool with a space station sitting at the bottom of it that you can go and work inside of. And I think really that experience gives us something, the muscle memory, just the tasks that really match up just like it is when you're outside on a spacewalk. We also have some virtual reality gear back at the Johnson Space Center where we can put a headset on and climb around on the exterior of the space station. And I'll tell you what, that virtual reality headgear is more likely probably to make any of us nauseous than the actual spacewalk experience. And so going through those events is really good training, and they do an awesome job of preparing us to just be comfortable while we're out there. I will tell you that both Chris and I remarked on some of the work sites that we had were pretty far out. I know other astronauts have been out to the edges of the space station before, but it really is something that you're aware of, that you are on the very edge of the space station. Some of the signs out there say dead end, and it's true that you don't want to keep going in that direction unless you really know what you're doing. But just a lot of training, and that really set us up for success.
And final question for you, Colonel Hurley. I cheered watching you fly to the International Space Station. I will cheer when you are home safely. It's the first time, though, that a private spacecraft will have completed this launch and then return to Earth. Are you nervous in any way?
No, we're not nervous. We've been working, at least in part, with SpaceX and with the Commercial Crew Program for the last 5 years. Been through the trials and tribulations, as it were, with both NASA and with SpaceX to get to this point. You know, there's been a lot of work. There's a very incredible team, both at NASA and at SpaceX, that have been working on this vehicle. And both Bob and I have tremendous confidence in both them and this vehicle to get us back safely somewhere either in the Gulf of Mexico or off the coast of Florida in about a week.
We wish you all the best, Godspeed, and a safe return to planet Earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Yahoo Finance portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KPRC TV.
This is KPRC TV. How do you hear me?
Welcome aboard the International Space Station. We hear you loud and clear.
Thank you so much. This is Roseanne Aragon with KPRC. Thank you so much for your time. It's great to speak with you all. So, we've been covering your mission from here in Space City, and we want to know, how are you guys doing up there? How's it going at the space station?
We're doing great. Particularly for me, Chris, I had a couple months by myself, and it was just such a joy to watch these two guys launch a handful of weeks ago, and then know that rocket ship was pointed directly at us for a rendezvous the next day. That was a tremendous excitement on board. I know it was on Earth, but we on board felt the same. And then we've had just a fantastic month or 6 weeks to work together and accomplish kind of space station missions along in parallel with some objectives still continuing with the test flight of the Dragon. But it's kind of sad, bittersweet to see it all come to an end for me, because I'll close the hatch and watch these guys head home. But we're doing fantastic, and thanks for asking. Thank you so much, Chris. I talked with your brother the other day. I know he cares about you very much. Bob and Doug, can you talk to us about, the Dragon? How is the Dragon doing? How are you guys in your mission for the Demo 2 mission?
Well, so far, Dragon has been great, performed exactly as expected, in a lot of cases better than expected. We've done some onboard testing to just see how it will be when 4 people are in the vehicle, which comes up on the next flight, Crew 1, in a few months. And we've also done some other evaluations where emergency hardware goes, how it would work if we were having communications with the space station in an emergency where we were sealed up in our vehicles, and some other work we've done to just make sure everything is performing the way we expect it to perform while it's on orbit. Because the next mission for those Crew 1 folks will be in the neighborhood of 6 months rather than a couple months like our mission. So just trying to go through all those things to make sure all the testing is done and everything works the way it's supposed to, and then obviously the undock and departure and entry and splashdown next week.
Thank you so much. And Bob, can you talk to us about, your training? Do you all believe that the training that you received at the Johnson Space Center has prepared you to execute this mission well?
I think the training that Doug and I had in preparation for this mission, really set us up for success. As you might know, our mission was originally planned to be a short mission, maybe staying at the station a week, maybe 2 weeks as we finished the checkout of the Dragon capsule. And the mission was extended as we've had launch delays and really needed to do our best to take care of the space station. A Japanese cargo vehicle had brought some hardware up that we needed to have installed during spacewalks, and so we took the opportunity to get a little bit more training to make sure that both Doug and I were ready to support those activities, and that kind of executive course to polish us off to be able to extend our mission really paid, I think, big dividends in terms of getting the work that we were able to accomplish done expeditiously and successfully. And so I think the training that we went through was excellent, and it really set us up for success. I think hopefully when we head back home, the training that we got from the Hawthorne team has us set up for success for the splashdown and coming home. And I think probably Doug and I's biggest worry coming home is the health of Houston and the health of the people back at home, our families, and hopefully everybody is taking seriously the recommendations for masks and the recommendations for social distancing, so that we come back home to a safe place. I think that's probably our biggest concern, not our training or the performance of the vehicle.
Thank you so much. What is it going to be like to be able to come home after a mission like this one, a historic first time for the Commercial Crew Program? What's that going to be like to see your sons again?
Well, it's going to be incredible, obviously, to see our families again and all our co-workers, as Bob said, from a distance, ideally, but just to see all the people, whether it be at SpaceX or at NASA, that contributed to this mission over the last several years. I mean, it's a countless number of people behind the scenes, that have made this possible. So to just share with those folks is kind of what I think we're very much looking forward to, other than to obviously see our sons and our wives, who we miss incredibly, and but they completely understand, since they both do the same thing that we do. So just looking forward to it, a successful completion of the mission, and to share it with everybody that helped along the way.
Thank you so much for your time. It's great to hear from you all. Please have a safe journey home.
Thank you, Roseanne.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event as we count down to 20 continuous years of humans living and working on the International Space Station. Thank you.
Thank you to all participants from Yahoo Finance and KPRC TV. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.